Miriam's Invitational list from last weekend.
That's the exact same main deck of Ross's deck. He's got, your 4 Gyro Stages, your 4 Emissaries and Foothoof Boars, and as you said, he's going up the curve with Silverheart and Thundermaw Hellkite and those 4 Domris, and hopefully we'll get to see one of those 4 Bonfire of the Damned. He's going to be playing against Sean Harwick, as you do see an Arbor Elf there off the stomping ground for Caleb. Mr. Harwick is playing Esper Control. Very, very, very close to the list that Ben Lundquist top 8 of the Invitational with, some very, very minor cosmetic changes. So we're going to see an aggro deck here as Caleb is just off to the races here with Burning Emissary and a Flinthoof Boar, while you see Sean with just a foil Hallowed Fountain to start the game with.
Yeah, and these are the kind of explosive draws that make red-green an attractive deck.
And we're going to see ourselves an Augur of Bolas here. We're going to find a Devourer Flesh there for Sean, but Caleb is more than happy to sacrifice probably that Arbor Elf if it does come down to that. As Caleb is going to untap, he's going to draw a card. It is a Forest. We'll see what he's going to be able to cobble together here. I know, speaking with Ross over the course of last weekend, as he did top 8 that Invitational, actually ended up in the top 4 before losing to Shaheen Saroni, he was very, very happy with this deck, and he did not want anyone to know this deck existed because he just did not want to play against Boros Reckoner at all.
Yeah.
A card that his deck is very, very soft to, and Boros Reckoner is pretty low. It's not a card that's seeing a lot of play right now, so we do see a Gorkline Rampager there from Caleb, and he's going to pass the turn back. And as long as Reckoner is not really heavily in the format path, this seems like a very, very good choice.
Yes. It is definitely super explosive. The mana is not ideal. That's one of the softer parts of the deck, but when it gets these kind of openings, it is extremely impressive.
So now you're going to see Caleb come across with all 4 guys, an Arbor Elf, a Gorkline Rampager, that Burning Emissary, and a Flinthoof Boar. Just taking a look at Sean's Augur of Bolas. So we'll see what Sean's going to cobble together here. You see it dissipate in his hand. We know he has a Devour Flesh. The big question, of course, is does he have a land and a Supreme Verdict in his hand? And you're going to see the block there. Augur's going to jump in front of the Arbor Elf.
This is always the tough part about playing decks like Red-Green Aggro, is how much you push the pedal to the metal, knowing that Supreme Verdict is a card that's threatening you. But if you don't put on enough pressure, then random bounce spells and spot removal might actually just pick you apart.
So you see that block there. We're going to see a follow-up here of Bonfire of the Damned for 1. So it's going to put Sean down to 4. We'll see if he cares about dissipating that. It's just going to be a Think Twice, so no dissipate here. Sean going to draw a card. You see a Think Twice here after that Bonfire resolves, basically signifying that I do not have Terminus in my deck.
Yep.
Could have tried to quote-unquote get there and doesn't have it in his deck. So Harwick is going to be down. It looks it's either 3 or 4 right now. We'll get confirmation on that life total as Caleb is going to untap. He's going to draw. It is not a Bonfire. He has another one in his hand right now. And Harwick did just play a Water Grave tap, so he does not have a Supreme Verdict in his hand, as Caleb is just going to play an Arbor Elf. And here come the idiots. You see him play that Arbor Elf for Devour Flesh.
Yeah, just insurance against Devour Flesh.
And so now Sean is going to cast that, and maybe Sean realizes his mistake that I should have cast that in response to the Arbor Elf. And here's a Gorkline Rampager here. So that is going to be it. Caleb Durward is going to be up a game here with Green Red Aggro over Sean Harwick playing Esper Control. Again, Green Red Aggro, a deck that we saw Ross Merriam make the top 4 of the Invitational in Atlanta with last weekend. And we're going to take a look at his sideboard first, even though Durward is up a game, because one card that stands out a ton here, the Strangleroot Geist.
Yep, Strangleroot Geist, fell off the map a little bit. It used to be kind of a defining card of the format in a number of decks, basically from the time it was legal, but there hasn't been too many good double green beatdown decks for a while. Very easy to incorporate here, and obviously excellent against cards like Devour Flesh and Supreme Verdict. And he also has 2 copies of Thundermaw Hellkite, which I assume, so he can go up to 4. Not that this is a Lingering Souls matchup necessarily, but I think the expectation here is that Sean's going to bring in more spot removal, more sweepers. The game's going to go a little bit longer, and so it's worth adding a little bit more power to your deck, even at the expense of some of your explosiveness.
Taking a look at Sean's sideboard here, as he is going to be on the play here with his Esper Control deck. 3 Tragic Slips. You see 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Negate, 2 Duress, and a couple of one-ofs here, and a Pithing Needle, a Detention Sphere, a Jace Memory Adept, a Curse of Death's Hold, a Blind Obedience, and a Witchbane Orb. 3 Tragic Slip, I think, is a very easy place to start. It's not great in this matchup, but I think it's necessary.
Yeah, he certainly has to have cards that are worse. The counter spells especially are dubious. So I would definitely want to have a little bit more removal, even if it isn't the most efficient.
The other things you do see here, I think that certainly stand out, are that detention sphere. Curse of Deathhold, it's going to be simply too slow here. You can use Jace Memory Depth as a card drawing engine, but again, that's slow as well. Rest in Peace does have a little bit of use here with being able to kill Strangler guys for good, but I don't think you want to sideboard in just to be able to do that. And then you see Negate and Duress. So the thing that really stands out here as you take a look at Sean's sideboard is there isn't something that jumps out to you that says, yeah, I'm here to beat red-green aggro. I think his overall strategy is okay against red-green aggro, but I think that Ross also, built this green-red deck with Esper in mind.
Yes.
So, one of the things that we covered last weekend, I was doing a match with Osip, or I was doing with Tom actually, and we saw a green-red aggro deck against an Esper deck, and we saw the power of Domri in that matchup of not being able to just draw extra creatures, and it could fight if it needed to clear an Augur Bolus out of the way. But one thing that Esper can't realistically do is get a Domri off the table. It's very difficult for them to do that, and once you do accomplish the ultimate, it's almost impossible for the Esper deck to win.
Yes.
Your guys have hexproof, they have haste, they have double strike. Tom and I were commentating and wondering why the player playing Esper, I think it was Joe Bass, wasn't ultimate pricing one of the guys, and we didn't realize that
hexproof is part of the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the puzzle with the ultimate. You look at Domri's ultimate, and you just figure, if you get there, it's just whatever. The game's over. And no, it just has all of these things that it does.
No, I was watching one of Ben Lundquist's feature match over the rail, where he was playing against red green aggro, not Ross, but a different list.
Sure.
And his opponent attacks him with some creatures, a Hell Rider, and something else, and Ben just concedes in this long drawn out game. I'm like, can he just Azorius Charm one of the guys and Revelate for a bunch and just take the game over? And he's like, oh no, hexproof. That's also part of all the stuff, all the other horrible stuff that happened to Ben as a result of this Domri being in play for 5 turns. The hexproof is also part of what just happened.
Yes. So. Yeah. So you guys do see Domri on the screen there. You do see the emblem that it gives creatures you control have double strike, trample, hexproof, and haste. It's kind of funny because when you think of Domri in an Esper matchup, you think of you think of Domri initially, you think of this card that can fight, maybe draw you an additional card, and it's certainly frustrating when you look at the top card and it's not a creature. But it's weird in this particular matchup. Because this Esper deck doesn't have really any ways to chip away at it like a blue-white-red deck would with Boros Reckoner, Searing Spear, Pillar of Flame, they can keep it in control. Esper cannot, so it's actually a realistic game plan in this matchup to just play a Domri and just go up, 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 emblem, and you can't do anything now.
Yep. And which is exactly what I saw happen to Ben Lundquist in the game he lost in that match.
So I think this is one of the few places where the Domri emblem, that being an actual plan A or plan B, is realistic, and we have seen it in action. And it does work.
Yes.
It does work. So we'll see if that's what Durward is going to do here in game number 2, as Harwick is going to be on the play. And we will take a look as he's going to move down to 6, and Caleb looks happy.
As happy as Caleb ever looks, I suppose.
Yeah. For a man with such a majestic beard.
What I like about the construction of this deck more than anything else is once you have Domri, there's a ton of pressure on you to play as many creatures as possible. You want to be hitting as often as you can.
Yeah.
But when you do that, it comes at the expense of, obviously, the spells that you're playing. I've seen some Domri lists that have some number of Searing Spears or some number of Pillar Flames. This deck has none of that nonsense. The spells that it has are Domri Rade and Bonfire, all haymakers. And then the spells it's sideboarding into are things like Devil's Play and Ground Seal, which are also very powerful in their appropriate matchups. So certainly some concessions have to be made once Domri's in the deck, but the spells that this deck is electing to play are all extremely powerful, which I think is how you kind of have to construct the deck once Domri's involved.
Yeah. And we talked about a little bit at the top of the show about how powerful the cards are now, how cyclical Magic is. This is something that you and I have brought up on occasion. Osip and I have brought up. When I see this deck, it's kind of like a sigh of relief to me. It's just like, finally, someone has found a place where Domri is good.
Yes.
Because when that card got spoiled, it's just a card that everyone looked at, and it's kind of what we're doing with Ralzeric, right? We're looking at that card and it's like, okay, this card's definitely good. We have to figure out where it goes.
You and I actually got to preview that card.
Yeah.
We had a broadcast where we had Domri as one of the cards shown, and we were both like, there's no way this thing misses.
Yes.
It's powerful enough. There's no way it misses. It's just a question of what kind of home do you want to put it in.
Yeah. And we saw Eric Froelich, top 8 Montreal, Pro Tour Montreal with 4 Domris in his deck and having success with that card. But I feel like this is a much more Domri-centric deck. This feels like a home for Domri. Yes, maybe we'll see decks that are 3 colors with the next set, Dragon's Maze, making Domri even better. But this feels like step 1 of a Domri deck to me.
Yes.
And this was certainly, I feel, inevitable. This was going to happen at some point. The card is too good and too aggressively costed for it not to happen.
I don't do very much moto speculation, but I know I have my 4.
Well, it can almost only certainly go up. So we are going to see an Arbor Elf here. To start the show for Caleb, Sean is going to follow up with an Augur Bolus. Let's see if it is going to hit. And it does. We've seen all the Augurs hit today.
Yep, so far.
That's a rare thing going on as Zori's Charm is going to go over to Sean's hand. Caleb is going to play a Mountain. I'm going to follow up with, and there is your Domri Rade.
I mean, Sean's on 5 cards, so it's hard to feel like he's gotten too lucky here.
Yeah. So Domri is going to start ticking up. Caleb is going to check the top card of his deck. There's a Gorklan Rampager that's coming on in. Gorklan Rampager kind of interesting, right? Where I know that this is another card that feels like a can't miss prospect, but now you see that card getting played over. As looks like that is a detention sphere to take care of Domri. You start seeing Gorklan Rampager being played over Huntmaster the Fells now.
Yes. Although this deck has slightly different priorities than your average Huntmaster deck.
Sure.
You know, the pump spell is very meaningful. And you have all these like little knuckleheads, and you're a little more on the aggressive side.
Yeah, at some point you just get tired of getting Restoration Angeled.
Yes.
It does just begin to grow old, as we're going to see a Burning Tree Emissary into a Hell Rider in for 3 plus a trigger. And here you see the power of Burning Tree Emissary, creating an additional guy, putting Hell Rider into play, basically a free spell, allows Hell Rider to do even more damage here the following turn. I know that in Matt Sperling and Patrick Reitzel's article this week about their Prime Speaker Bant deck, Reitzel made the comment of, you know, to me, this is a format where you either play Thragtusk or you either play Burning Tree Emissary. Your deck should have one of those cards or the other. How do you feel about something as bold as that? Basically speaking to the power level of Emissary.
I think it's not an unreasonable argument. I would say that Sphinx's Revelation to me is a more compelling reason to build your deck a certain way than Thragtusk is. But I understand the point that's being communicated there. I think it's a little bit of hyperbole, but I know what he's saying.
The power of Burning Tree Emissary can certainly not go undenied. It is one heck of a Magic card. A card that was, I mean, I can speak personally, horribly overlooked.
Yes.
When it was released. I did not think that this card was going to be anything special. And I'm one to admit when I'm wrong, and I was very wrong, as we're going to see Caleb here looking through his hand. What does he want to do here? How does he want to try to punish Sean on his Mulligan to 5?
I think he has another Domri in hand. Maybe we're about to see. And no luck.
All right, so just Hell Rider coming across. Maybe he was considering fighting there with Domri. There's the potential for that. I'm a little bit... No, I guess I'm not surprised to see Burning Tree Emissary hang back, because just a double block takes care of it for an exchange for a point of damage. Really not worth the exchange.
I actually feel, you know, Caleb probably feels like he can kind of win a slower game here. He's happy to take his time.
Yeah. Just really let the Domri card advantage add up. He's not going to miss forever, right?
Yep.
Right. As we're going to see the Zori's Charm here cycled here for Sean. Nathalia Durward. It looks like Sean is without black mana. He's going to tap 2 lands. We're going to see a Blind Obedience here. Kind of slow down Caleb's deck a little bit here. He does have 4 copies of Hell Rider and 2 Thundermauls pre-sideboard, 2 in his sideboard as well, so can slow down the haste speeds a little.
Yeah, but again, it's very hard. This would be a pretty good angle of attack here if Domri wasn't involved, but you can't play this sort of slow attrition sort of game as we see Mizium Mortars take out.
So Domri's going to check again. It is a big no for... And Caleb's hand does have a Thundermaw Hellkite. You know, he could have cast that this turn.
A lot worse than Blind Obedience is in play.
So he does just Augur of Bolas. He does Mizium Mortars that Augur of Bolas. I'm considering how he does want to attack. And yeah, I think it's right to get in here with all the guys.
Yeah, I at this point, if I'm Caleb, I'm happy not to cast another spell. I mean,
make him deal with this.
Yeah.
And then if he does deal with this, there's also just that Domri still on the table.
And whatever Caleb's got left over, I mean, there's no rush here.
Yep. He's going to follow up with a Flint Hoof Core that does come into play tapped. Got to get that thing established, as Sean is going to draw a card. He's going to play an Isolated Chapel, so he does have black mana. He is going to play another Augur Bolus, probably looking for a Supreme Verdict. You see a Dimir Charm, you see an Ultimate Price, you see a Hollowed Fountain, so no Wrath here. One thing I kind of like about these aggressive decks now, Patrick, is they are forcing these hollow to fountain control decks to have Supreme Verdict.
Yes.
You know, Naya Blitz forces you to have it, and it can make it cost more with Thalia. Also, they can trump it with Boros Charm. You see Caleb's deck. You know, the way that he can pace the game with Hell Rider and Gorklan Rampager, he doesn't have to put a lot of threats on the table, and he forces the opponent to have that card in Supreme Verdict just over and over and over again.
And you need something. I think that you need something like Domri or like Thalia or Boros Charm, something along those lines. You can't just say Wrath or Bust, because these Esper decks looks at so many cards going to the 4th turn. You know, with Augur and Azorius Charm and Think Twice, but I think if you have a good clock where in such a way that you just basically win the game in the event that they don't have Supreme Verdict, and you have some sort of backup for a grindier game or some way to counter the Supreme Verdict in the event that they have it, you can have a very good matchup.
So now we are going to see Domri fight. Ultimate Price is going to take care of the Hell Rider. Caleb's going to come across here for 6. He's going to be able to put Sean down to 1. Gorklan Rampager says, I've got Blood Rush.
Yeah.
That is going to be enough. So Caleb Durward with Green Red Aggro off the back of an unfortunate mulligan to 5 from Sean Harwick is going to win the match 2-0. In honestly what feels like a deck it feels like a good matchup for this Green Red Aggro deck, which is kind of funny to say. You would think that Esper Control has a good matchup. You would think that Esper Control has a good matchup against this creature-based deck. It's very linear, but it doesn't really feel that way after, you know, kind of analyzing the cards and how things match up.
Well, you know, it's definitely a linear deck, but I would not say it's linear in the same way